Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com, and we are going to talk again with some comic book creators. I think you might know this guy. He's done a book or three that kind of got notice, and it's like you can't just ask what project are you working on now, because when it comes to Mike Barron's schedule. It's a project for every hour of the day, every day of the week. Hardest working man in comics today, right, Mike?
Well, I don't know about that, but I am busy.
You're writing an awful lot of stuff, and we will say that we got our copy of Florida Man, so that you can exhale on. Got that out of the way, so. What you're ramping up issue number 2 now, I guess?
Yeah, we're getting ready to do issue number 2.
Yeah, you've got a launch date in mind?
It's going to be towards the end of the summer because Thin Blue Line comes first. We're going to launch that at the end of July.
Okay, so tell me about Thin Blue Line here, and I'm going to go get my links.
Thin Blue Line's about 2 officers trying to survive a night in a riot-torn city.
That sounds like it could come from one of those ripped from the headlines kind of things.
It's very topical. It's not didactic. I write to entertain. I show, I don't tell. And anybody who reads this book is going to be gripped and involved from the very first page. They're going to want to know what happens next. They're going to care about the characters, all the characters.
Is this going to be like a graphic novel, one shot, or are you going to?
Yes, it is. Like, it's a graphic novel. And my penciler is a full-time police officer. His name is Joe Arnold. Jeff Slemons is providing the finishes.
That is some nice looking stuff there.
Yeah.
So this is the officer in question. Family's in the car. Just another day, and
yes,
and it turns into a nightmare.
It does. And there's some question whether they will survive.
You know how big this is going to be. I mean, you got. I guess you have a page count in mind already. They're already drawing it, so yeah, you know how thick it's going to be.
It's going to be a 56-page story.
Very cool. Do you have a publisher for that? I mean, you're going to work with the same company that did Florida Man, or you have another outlet?
Yes,
okay.
We are working with the same company.
And that's I think that's a big idea. I don't see there's no imprint up here.
Oh, we keep our logo hidden very carefully. Wait a minute, let me take a look at a copy here. No, there is no logo. Chris Brawley runs our campaigns, and Chris is one of the finest videographers in the country. He lives in Chattanooga, and he's a professional videographer, which is why the video for Florida Man was the best video for any Kickstarted comic in history.
Bar none,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and the video for Thin Blue Line is going to be even better.
I can't wait to see it, because, yeah, if there were they had like the Clio Awards for advertisements, it's if there was an award for, videos for the support of your crowdfunded comic, Chris's videos would be right up there at the top.
Yeah.
So So that's Thin Blue Line. Obviously, Florida Man. Like I said, we just got. I can see that you've got a cover going here for. I'm trying to get it pulled up here so I can share it.
That's the next Florida Man cover. Pat Broderick did the cover.
My
Which reminds me,
acting up on me. Yeah.
That Pat Broderick and I are working on a Western. It's the best work Pat's ever done. He thinks so. Everybody who's ever seen it thinks so. It's going to blow your mind. We're not sure who's going to publish it yet. We have a couple of publishers who are interested. It's going to be a 48-page graphic novel. I wish I could show you some of the art. But when Pat photographs it with his camera, it comes with this odd sepia hue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the original art is very clean. I've seen the original art. It's clean black and white. And I don't know where he gets that sepia hue for. You know, I'll show you what he's been posting on his page, and you just understand that.
Yeah, it's probably just low lighting or something.
Well, I think he dropped his phone in coffee at one point, and I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he probably did. You're probably close to being right. He probably did hit that sepia filter on his camera. Because I know sometimes I hit a filter and I'm like, how do you turn the damn thing off?
Yeah,
and,
he doesn't know how to turn that off, but he sent me copies of the pages that were clean, just black and white. That's part of the cover, I think.
I got it here.
Let's see what else I can find.
You know what, though? For a Western, Mike, that works. That really...
It does.
That sepia tone, I would say, I'd say keep that if you could, because it's like you printed a comic book on old wanted posters.
I know, it is cool, but we're going to go with full color for this, I think.
Yeah, that is some of his best work he's ever done. And I thought, Fury of Firestorm was like his top-notch stuff.
Hey,
Hex
here's
Allen,
another one.
welcome to the chat, Hex. Glad to see you here. Going to have Hex on Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time.
Hi, Hex. See that new one? I just posted another page, an interior page.
Yeah, I'm switching gears around back and forth.
I couldn't do it. I wish you could see that bigger. I mean, it is stunning.
Best I can do is this.
Yeah. Well, Pat's posted them on his own Facebook page, so go take a look at Pat Broderick's Facebook page. You got to scroll down a ways because Pat's a busy guy. He's working on a lot of stuff, but he'll be finishing this up in the next couple of weeks.
And are you going to launch this as a crowdfunded book, or?
Well, no, we have a couple of publishers who are interested in this as well, and we're hoping they'll pick them up. Just getting the publisher's attention. We'll see.
I'm looking for Pat Broderick. You know what? There's so many Pat Brodericks on Facebook, apparently.
Really?
Yeah. People named Pat. Okay, well, is he the adjunct instructor? Got to be. He's got 11 mutual friends with me, so I'm going to put him on there. And I'm going to add him as a friend right now. Yeah. Let's. I can share this. I'll share the Chrome tab. Now, yeah. So the first thing up there was that first image you sent me.
Yeah.
Get that any bigger.
Oh, geez, I forgot the other one. Most important. I'm writing a new title for Allegiance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Saints. And it's about a group of scholars who are secretly trying to preserve the world's great archaeological sites. Because as you know, they're under assault from grave robbers, from ISIS, for example, which blew up a couple of classic sites in Afghanistan. So the Saints are a group, a secret group that seeks to preserve these sites by any means necessary. And it centers around a rogue archaeologist named Jean-Marc Lapointe, who's pictured there, who's got a bit of a notoriety because he goes where he's not supposed to go, and he's a bit more flamboyant than people like. But he is absolutely dedicated to preserving these sites. And the first series deals with the Saints' efforts to bring him in and become one of them. And they're fighting a secret group called the Children of the Forge, which includes many world leaders. And the Children of the Forge are using archaeological sites to lay the groundwork for one world government.
Aha.
And they do this, they have a time machine that can push these machines back in time, not humans themselves, but the machines go back in time. And then when somebody discovers or picks up the machine invades them with this cyber kinetic virus, which takes over their body and introduces circuitry and mechanical functions, and is programmed to make them do what the Children of the Forge want, to lay the groundwork for this one world government. And the first series is they're in a race. The Saints are in a race with the Forge children to reach these archaeological sites, and it culminates finally in the lost city of Z, which is in the Amazon. You may have seen the movie. It was an excellent movie. I've read the book, which many people don't know that Teddy Roosevelt, after he left the presidency, launched an expedition in Amazon called the River of Doubt, up the River of Doubt, to find the lost city of Z. And it nearly killed him. He barely survived. There's a book about it called The River of Doubt, which I recommend. It's historical, straightforward. So is The Lost City of Z. They're both fascinating.
Yeah, Roosevelt's life was just, he was a real life Indiana Jones. It was like, I'm going to jump from one adventure to the next.
Yeah.
The presidency was a vacation for him. Probably drove him a little nuts too, having to sit in office all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had seen this in the back of my Red Rooster campaign, because there were some preview pages in the back of that. I had not caught on to the fact that this was your project.
Yeah.
So this is very cool. Time traveling programmed machines. You get like, I want one of those. I want to just send it back to 1938, have it invade some kid, and say, go steal $1 from your parents, buy 10 copies of Action Comics #1, put them in a safe deposit box with my name on it, and I will pick them up later.
Yeah.
And then I just go to the bank and pull them out.
Patrick Stiles created the series, and then he turned it over to me. Christian Rosato is the artist, and he's phenomenal.
Well, this is obviously this is already funded, and you guys are on track, I guess, for a November 2021 shipping. I
guess
that's what it says, but you know, everyone's looking over my shoulder, Mike. I'm telling you right now, it's like, oh yeah.
All right.
We'll get the first 20 pages at Walmart. No, we don't want to. It's a hurdle that's going to have to be jumped over with the publisher, and I've got every confidence that Mitch can do that.
Yeah, he's got big plans for Walmart.
It's still fun to tease him about it, though. Yeah, I hope they are successful with the expansion.
I think they will be. But anyhow, I just want to say, if you like my work, you're going to love The Saints. I urge you to check it out and support the Indiegogo campaign, which is going to produce a 56-page graphic novel to kick it off. Now, I believe that that will be broken out into 2 issues, which will be offered through Walmart's, but it won't be until months after the graphic novel ships.
Okay, so
Jazz Crab Saints will be available at Walmart. I'm not sure when it's going to appear. Probably not before next year, but I could be wrong. You know, as soon as I find out, I'll let people know via Facebook and Twitter.
But in this case, it's going to be the crowdfunders get it first, and then Walmart will get it. That was, I think, the big anger point with Red Rooster was that Walmart got it first, and then the crowdfunders.
I understand that.
Yeah, and I don't think he had much of a choice because Walmart was kind of leading the deal on that one. Or like, if you want to do this, we're going to get this.
Yeah, but Mitch tells me they're resolved to do this right, and nobody's going to be disappointed if they back the Saints.
I believe in that. This image here, is this a cover image that we're seeing, or is this like
I think it
representative
is, yes.
because I didn't know if it was representative of the interior art, but it's
That's the same guy did the interior art. I've seen a lot of the interior art, and it's just spectacular.
yeah, it's gorgeous looking stuff. Okay, yeah, I'm all in on that one. Now, of course, the book I put in the thumbnail, I need to find out more about that because you teased me with this idea of a James Bond dog.
Buddy McGill, the James Bond of dogs.
Yes. So what can you tell me about Buddy? I'll look.
Well, Buddy starts out working for the TSA, Transportation Safety Authority, and he spots somebody who gets by the handlers on this plane and knows they're planning to bring down the plane. So Buddy boards the plane too, and Buddy unmasks the miscreant, and then he flushes himself down the toilet, and he parachutes down to earth where he's picked up by a biker gang. And in fact, I sent you a page from that shows Buddy riding with the biker gang.
You did.
But ultimately, Buddy ends up saving the life of the President of the United States from an assassin. And that's just the first issue.
This is one smart doggo.
Yeah, he's a smart dog. And Fur Calvi is the artist on everything. He's a brilliant artist. If you look at that art, I wish you could see it bigger. I will be posting those pages on Facebook and Twitter in the days to come. Anybody want to follow me on Twitter? I'm at Bloody Red Baron. Please follow me on Twitter at Bloody Red Baron. And I'm on Facebook. I have a Mike Baron author page, and I'll be showing it there too. Yeah,
we have Troy Crumbly in the chat says that the James Bond of dogs is lying on the bed behind Mike. And I know that you love your dogs.
Yes.
They're in a lot of your streams. I'm guessing they had some sort of an influence on the creation of this story.
Well, I love dogs, but really, Buddy McGill is far more intelligent than my dogs. I hate to admit it. These dogs just lie around and beg for treats.
That's not dumb.
No, we love our dogs.
If they know you're going to give them to them, that's not dumb at all.
I suppose not. In fact, I know people love dogs, so I'm going to just show you a picture I took of Bob a few minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, do that. Be like Bob. That's what Troy's saying. Be like Bob. Just lay there and let people feed you. Are you sending that to me in the DM?
Right. It's sent. You can't go wrong with dog pictures. Now let me show you Freddie. He's our newest addition.
Oh, you got a new one.
Yeah, Freddie is the smartest of the bunch. That doesn't mean he's a real bright dog. There he is. Mac is the smartest. She's the oldest. Now here's Freddie. Freddie's got a look of crazed glee.
Yes, he does. He's got a little crazy eye to him there.
Don't touch my bone.
Yeah, I've got a little black pug that lives with me here now. And
well, that's like Mac. That's our third dog. She's a pug Boston Terrier mix.
Yep, that sounds like Lucy here. And Lucy, I rented the room. The dog came with the house, and so I'm like, well, if I'm going to live with a dog, I need to have dog treats.
Is Lucy in the room with you right now?
I can probably get her.
That's what the psychiatrist always says. Is Lucy in the room with you right now?
Hang on, I'll get Lucy in here.
All right. I'll keep talking here. Yeah, if we showed a close up of Bob, I think that was enough.
I got one of my dog friends online here wants to meet you. Can you come? Come here, Lucy. Come here, baby. Come here. You good girl.
We're having a dog show.
Girl.
There's Bob moving around the backyard. This is Ann. This is my wife, Ann. She may hoist a dog. Yeah. Whoa.
Like Mac.
That's bizarre. Go get Mac.
You want to meet Mac?
Yeah. Don't hurt yourself. Bend at the knees.
It's okay. It's okay. I got you.
Mac's heavier than hell.
Yeah,
She's
Lucy's
not
a good
that big.
25
She
pounds.
Oh, God. Bend at the knees. Come on, Mac. Lighten yourself. Think light, Mac. Oh, this is hard.
You're a
All
fluffy
right.
cloud. You're a fluffy cloud. Looky there. Looky there. Look at that, Lucy. Look,
They could be cousins.
they could be. He looks a
They
lot
could be
older.
littermates. All
We're
right.
going to show you Freddie.
Yeah. He's Freddy, right. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Now we got.
She wanted down.
I've been over.
She think, okay, now I've got to.
Freddie.
Now since I called her in here, I've got to do the treat.
All right. All right.
All right.
Thank you to our canine friends.
So I got. She got to get one of these. You ready? There you go. Take it. Okay. Okay. All gone. All right. Go back to bed.
I'm working on 3 novels too. I'm doing a second Nexus novel. I'm doing the 9th Josh Pratt biker novel. And I'm working on a military science fiction novel with a friend of mine who is a veteran of the Afghani war, a much decorated veteran. And we're excited about that.
Very cool. I lost my train of thought. Had the dogs come in and take over the stream. So where are we going to find Buddy McGill? I mean, is that going to be a crowdfunded project? Because
No, Advent is publishing that, and it'll be distributed by Diamond Distribution. It's going to hit every comic store in the country.
you are everywhere, Mike, and you've been everywhere for years. Mr. Yanafui, I missed his chat earlier, but I want to get back to it. Fan from a long time ago. First comic he bought was Flash #3.
I remember Mr. Yono Fui. I remember the Kilgore.
Yeah, that's it. They say that every comic is somebody's first comic, and sometimes your comic is somebody's first comic. So
I know that.
that's.
I'm pleased to report that I enjoy writing comics more than ever, and perhaps one of the reasons is that I have the luxury of time. I'm no longer, with the exception of the Saints, I'm not doing a monthly title. I'm doing these graphic novels, these crowdfunded graphic novels. So I'm able to devote all my resources to them and take the time to make sure they're done right. My writing has changed a lot over the years. I used to just sit down and wing it. I would write my comics by drawing each page out by hand, and I'd start with the first panel. And I'd think, well, how do I grab the reader's attention? What makes for a compelling scenario? And given that, I'd draw the panel, and I'd look at what I had, and I'd think, well, what happens next? Because that's the essential question in all fiction, and the reader has to care before he'll turn the page. And it made me think about it. How can I up the stakes? How can I attract the reader's interest? I created Nexus because in thinking about what would be dramatic, it occurred to me, well, if every time the protagonist showed up, somebody died, that's drama. And that's no big secret. That's why we have 1,000 police shows and lawyer shows and medical shows, because those are professions that deal with life and death situations. And that's the stuff of drama, as well as interpersonal relations. And that's why Nexus became a cosmic executioner, a reluctant executioner of mass murderers.
Yeah, there was a big cosmic being in another dimension that was basically giving him headaches until he did the thing he was supposed to do.
The Merc.
The Merc. If I'm recalling my Nexus lore correctly, because I got this big old stack of dollar comics from the bargain bin, and one of the stories I just recently read was, I'm going to screw all the names up, Mike. Nexus's girlfriend is with the Merc, and she's basically arranged it so that the Merc loses all his power over Nexus, and Nexus is a freed up agent.
That was later on in the series. The Merc was an insane alien, and that's the main point. Because one of the recurring themes in Nexus is that how can we understand an alien race? Well, in order for the story to go forward, we do understand them, and they understand us, but occasionally there are misunderstandings, and sometimes you run into an alien with whom understanding is simply impossible. Their mind works so differently. The basis of reality is so radically different from ours that there can be no communication, and that often leads to misunderstandings and violence.
Yeah, and which has been the plot of many an alien encounter story. I want to get back to what you said about how you did your comics, because you talk about doing the first panel and trying to set up drama. Often the first panel of a comic is, if not the full page, then a good portion of that first page to basically set something up. What is it that, what situations did you find most compelling as a dramatic conflict to start off a story? I mean, everything's different depending on the character, but they can always be broken down into a group of types.
Well, I don't believe in smashing the reader over the face with a huge action sequence. I think we've seen so many comics that begin with people flying, people shooting, and then there's a word balloon or caption that says, when I started the day, I thought I was just going to go for milk and cookies, and now look what it's turned into. And then you go into this long flashback. I hate flashbacks. I believe in telling a linear story, starting with the beginning and following it all the way through as it happens in real life.
There's no tension in a flashback.
Well, there can be tension, but
well, not for the protagonist, because they get through it because they're telling you the story from their perspective.
That's true, and I don't like a lot of gab explaining what's going on and bringing you up to speed, and that has to do with the second rule of storytelling, and one of the most important rules is not just in storytelling but in life itself, which is to show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And a good example of that is Better Call Saul. I love Better Call Saul, but if you watch each show, it often begins with a 5-minute wordless sequence where the camera just follows somebody like Mike Ehrmantraut or Jimmy McGill himself, and you don't know what's happening until the end of the sequence, and then you see, oh, I get it. You set something up.
They did that a lot with the Breaking Bad as well. You'd see this scene, and then how do we get here? And you do the whole episode. Now, the thing is, you say you don't like flashbacks. The entire series of Better Call Saul is flashback because.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's happening as we see it, and we understand that theoretically it takes place before Breaking Bad, but as we see it, it's fresh.
Yes,
and it fills in questions we might have had. So I think of it more as a prequel than a flashback. Yeah.
And I like it catching up too, because a lot of those 5-minute intros are Jimmy McGill in current time doing his. He's a manager at Cinnabon. That's his witness protection lifestyle now.
Right.
And then he remembers back to this.
Yeah.
I've seen whatever Netflix has available, and I'm stuck. I'm waiting for the next one to come along.
So we're all waiting. We're all waiting.
But yeah, great storytelling there. Troy Crumbly is asking a question about comics writing. Also, said, didn't Eisner have a rule about the amount of words allowed on a page? And is his corpse spinning in its grave over Brian Michael Bendis? I'm sure was the unasked question.
Well, I don't know. I met Will several times. We had some long talks about comics. While I don't go for hard and fast rules, rules are made to be broken. But I don't believe in overweighting a page with words, and especially dialogue. I try not to use dialogue to advance the story, except when it's the stuff of interpersonal drama, because the tendency of comic writers is to over-explain. And I would rather under-explain than over-explain and let the reader do a little work. But it's all there. My characters are clearly motivated by good reasons, and things happen for a reason, and they deal with them as they come up. But I prefer to show a person's character rather than talk about it. For instance, a man will tell you, I'm a really good guy. I'm just a wonderful person. I give to all these charities, and none of that is worth the sight of a man walking down a street and seeing a homeless puppy and picking it up and taking it with him, especially when nobody's looking.
Yeah, that's the true measure a character. Character is doing the right thing when nobody's looking.
That's right.
And now you talk about writing and we all know the aphorism that, you know, it's show, don't tell. When you're writing comics, what's the challenge of picking the right words that you are going to show on the page? Because the comic itself, the art, is doing all the showing. So what have you got left to show with words that the pictures didn't?
Well, when it comes to dialogue, I ask myself, if this is a real situation, how would real people talk? And so a lot of my dialogue is very simple and realistic. I don't use dialogue to make a statement or a pop culture reference. If somebody's asked a question, they'll sometimes just answer yes or no. And they don't add a long diatribe of why they feel the way they do, or what this means or that thing means. I try to make them talk like real people. Now, occasionally, for the purposes of characterization, I'll give them speech mannerisms, and I try to make those original. I try to draw from real life. I'm one of those guys that always walks around with a notepad, always, and a pen. And if I hear an unusual phrase that I've never heard before, I'll jot that down, and I won't try to shoehorn it into whatever I'm working. I'll wait until the proper moment arises to use it, and then I have it. And I think that's the key to gripping naturalistic storytelling, is not to force things, but let the story unfold according to its own rules. Now, every writer knows this. So once you create a good character, at some point the character turns around and tells you what he's going to do next.
Yeah, yes, you do, because they'll take on a life of their own. One of the things I was taught about dialogue from a mentor of mine when I was just breaking into writing was I was trying to write the way people talk, and
Yep.
that's not what you're saying here when you're saying you write the way you write natural. Because I was like really writing the way people talk, because people have to pause and think. And he's like, no, people don't want to read realistic dialogue. They want to read idealized dialogue. So yes, it'll sound real, but it'll be like very clean and well thought out.
Yeah, but now I have to mention number one rule of writing is it's our job to entertain, and we must never lose sight of that. Which means that you want to get the reader's attention by any means possible. And for many years, it was just the art, because we've all purchased hundreds of comics with exquisite art that we loved. But in retrospect, you think about the story and you just say, oh man, I wish the story was as good as the art.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Sturgeon's Law.
90% of everything.
That's right. Sturgeon's Law is 90% of everything is trash. And Theodore Sturgeon was a great science fiction writer, and that's Sturgeon's Law. And it's true for the most part.
We have Pops Van Zant in the channel. He is a member of the channel. Since the last time you were on, Mike, we hit 4,000 watch hours. We got monetized. So he's saying hi, Ann. So she just missed it.
Ann, get me some oxygen. Ann is off to the dollar store.
Okay, I love the dollar store. You can find some great toys there.
A lot of stuff for $1.
Yes, you can. And oh gosh, the first time I saw a dollar store, not counting Dollar General, there's a store opened up in our mall, 1990, called Everything's a Dollar. That was the name of it. And their staff had been trained, because you still had people walk in and would pick something up, and if there was no tag on it, they would ask,
how much?
How much is this? And the person they asked would just yell out, price check.
Here's a couple of Ann's finds. Ann is a hunter-gatherer. She got this for $0.25. It's a working radio. This is it.
Oh, what is that?
Tea strainer.
This is the robot tea sieve.
It's a tea strainer.
Nice.
Oh yeah. This is, we're going to offer this a premium with the next Florida Man comic. This is an alligator playing a sousaphone, and it will be offered on a limited basis to certain backers at a certain level.
You bought them out.
Stop.
Well, we know how much you paid retail for them now. So you can put them on a tier for like $7 more, and we'll buy them. Just paint them and sign them or something. So again, I've run off the cliff of the conversation.
Well, we can talk about novels.
Yes, we can. We can definitely talk about novels.
How many Destroyer novels have you written?
I have written 5. I've published 3. I haven't published. 3 have been published. Two are sitting on with the publisher. He's got things he's got to deal with right now that are non-Destroyer related, and I've got this quandary where I've written these 3 to lead up to these 2, and there it's a 2-parter, which he doesn't like 2-parters, and I get that, because it's like, if you turn in one part and then you die, what happens?
Well, you could combine them in one book. It'd be a Fat Destroyer novel. I
couldn't do that because I had the second Destroyer novel had to follow the pattern, because I had a very specific chapter 2 in mind. And if you know the pattern of a Destroyer novel, chapter 2 is always his name was Remo. And the second part was very important that I have that set up in chapter 2, because it really puts the book on its ear with the character. That's when you read the first line right after his name was Remo, and the reader immediately knows we're not in Kansas anymore. And that's what I've been leading up to. But this gap right here, they've asked, say, before we do this, can you put a book in here? I'm like, yes, I can. If I can come up with a decent enough story to fill that gap up and not lose the momentum. But so I'm working on that. And every time Mike, every time I come up with something, I'm like, this would make a great story. This would be like a world-ending kind of event that needs the Destroyer. It happens in the news. I'm like, I mean, the last book I did, Monumental Terror, guess what that was about? People attacking monuments and tearing them down.
Well, the Destroyer has always been a political satire.
Yes, it has. It's just that in the past 5 years, politics has become a satire of itself, and it's if I satirize it, it almost becomes a lampoon now.
That reminds me, I'm working on another series for a creator who lives in Austria. It's called 2084, and it's about a logical extension of 1984, and the way things are going now, it could almost take place in the here and now, except this one takes place in 2084, and there are a number of telepaths and telekinetics, some of whom are natural, some of whom have been created by technology, that they pose a great threat to the ruling oligarchy. And so the protagonists are on the run. But the oligarchy also controls their own telepaths and telekinetics. So it's everything that's happening today with the surveillance everywhere and people trying to escape government surveillance, but it's amped up to like 11 because of the stakes and because of the powers these people have. And the telekinetics, telekinesis is the ability to move objects with thought alone. When they join hands with one another, they multiply their powers. And so they're trying to get all the rogue telekinetics in the world together to join hands to bring down the oligarchy. And they're going to literally bring it down because the oligarchy governs from a flying city.
Aha. Okay. Very, very much like Metropolis, where, the elite lived above and the downtrodden physically lived below.
I've never seen that, but that's a recurring theme throughout human history, and it doesn't surprise me. And
Absolutely.
The one thing, Orwell predicted all this because Orwell understood that human nature doesn't change.
Yeah, we're bound and determined to screw ourselves in some fashion or another.
Well, you and I aren't.
Yeah, well, we're trying.
But we know the people who are.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that Tommy Lee Jones line in Men in Black. When Will Smith says, "Why don't we reveal that the aliens are real? People are smart." And he's like, "No, a person is smart. People are dumb, stupid, panicky animals, and you know it."
Yeah.
And I get that. Yeah, I had a short story that I didn't send anywhere. And I don't know. I was stupid. I just put it online. It's out there somewhere on an old blog that I don't maintain anymore, called The Last American Taxpayer. And it was, I wrote it the last time, like the tax numbers came out, and it showed, what percentage of people were paying what percentage of the tax base. I was like, well, what if it keeps shrinking and it keeps growing? And I end up with this guy. He's the last American taxpayer. He's the CEO of like 6 companies, and he has to be in order to have enough to eat, because he's paying for everything. And as you know, he's coming home. Chauffeur drives him through the gates. No, he doesn't have a chauffeur. I forgot. He's a billionaire who barely lives a middle-class lifestyle. The police have to push the protesters away from his driveway so he can get in because he's a billionaire.
Right.
And as he's making his sandwich and preparing for another night of, laying out the plans for the 5 different companies that he's a CEO over, the news is on, and they're passing a new law where they're going to subsidize spray paint because it should be free to all the protesters who make signs. And he owns the only company that makes paint. So it's like it's going to be the last of his money that he's got is going to pay this subsidy for the protest paint. And he goes to the armory being a copy of Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. He opens it up, and it's been hollowed out to hide a pistol that's illegal, and he just pulls it out and shoots himself in the head.
Oh, man, that's a bummer. Kurt Vonnegut wrote a story called Harrison Bergeron.
I love Harrison Bergeron.
Yeah, and that's prescient, too. It's about how this healthy, intelligent man is forced to wear all these weights and to have this crazy music blasted into his head so he can't think straight because it's unfair that he has greater abilities than others.
Yeah, and they were doing that to everybody to equal them out. Like his parents, his father was a smart guy, and he had to have headphones on that would constantly blare noises to interrupt his train of thought, so he wouldn't be smarter than anybody else. The ballerina on TV was dancing around with ankle bracelets on to weight her legs down,
so that those who can't dance that well don't feel bad about themselves.
Yes. God, that is just that's foresight. I mean, that's just predicted pretty much where we are today.
Well, it says human nature doesn't change. And that's why these things keep happening. Every successful republic, Rome.
How long did Rome last?
Well, it had its heyday was about 300 years.
Okay, so we got a good 70 years left. I'm just trying to get a measurement here. And if you write that into a story, like I've done, like you've done, it's looked at as fiction and sometimes as laughable fiction because it's like, well, that'll never happen. None of that's slippery slope logic.
Well, as my friend Ron Fortier points out, a good writer can lead the reader anywhere. The most preposterous situations if the prose is up to it. Now, I don't like to beggar belief. I like my stories to be credible on a physical and psychological level, but sometimes you gotta take that leap, and a good writer can do that.
Yeah, build the bridge, so that the reader doesn't have to really suspend disbelief because following the logic that you've led them down, it makes sense.
Right.
This could happen. Yeah, a crazy alien from another dimension really could send you off on killing sprees.
Happens all the time. Well, there are people who claim it, like Son of Sam. He claimed that this dog was beaming him instructions to kill people.
Yeah. What if he really was?
Yeah.
What if schizophrenics aren't crazy? They see the world as it really is, and we're the blind ones.
Yeah.
The voices they hear, the people they see are really there. So just stuff that fodder for good stories that I sit on and then I don't write. So we're just giving it away online here, Mike. Somebody's going to listen.
I make notes for stories. I have a couple of titles, and they're titles in search of a story. I collect titles and say, wow, that'd be a good title for a story.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
And the titles are in my books, and every now and then I'll write them down again, searching for that story. That one that has never come is "Never Say Nebuchadnezzar Again," and I'm still working on that. I'll get to it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll, you know, it can involve time travel of some sort or reincarnation. Now, okay, Nebuchadnezzar, he wasn't the king who threw Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego in the fire, was he?
I think he is. I got a picture of him. Hang on, I'll send you
I
a
knew he was the
picture.
one who went crazy for a while and ate grass like a cow.
Nebuchadnezzar. Oh, there he is.
And
There's
he had
our
the
friend Nebuchadnezzar. He
and
had
he had
quite a
the
hat there.
they had great cameras back then, Mike.
Yeah. I think Dave Dorman painted that.
Oh my God, that's Dave
No,
Dorman
I'm
painting?
kidding. But Dave could have painted it.
Yeah, because I haven't seen Dave in years. Last time I saw Dave, he was autographing my greatest Batman stories ever told book at a convention.
You should see what he just posted on his Facebook page.
Well, now you got me looking. Dave Dorman. Do. Oh, is it what I? Oh my God! Do we dare show this?
Up to you, RJ. It's your show.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to get as good of a copy of this as I can, which means that I'm going to not show it in a web folder. I'm going to open it up as a picture.
I wouldn't know how to do that.
I've got it covered. Wait a second, where'd it go?
Where'd it go?
I got so many darn pictures. There we go. There we go. Got it.
I double dog dare you. And I got the dogs to do it.
Okay. Here we go. I'll make it bigger. That's a powerful statement for a guy known for drawing comic book art covers.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll have to go back to Facebook later to see what the comments are like on that.
Yeah.
Do it, George. I did it. I did.
What did you do, George? What did you do?
He was telling me to show the picture. I'm like, I did it. I did it. Oh man, I'm glad I downloaded it because Facebook is going to take it down any minute, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's still up.
That is very cool. So, novel wise, what do you got going on right now? I know you're still you still got the Nexus novel and the Badger novels that are being online. People can fund.
That's right. I have copies of the Nexus and Badger novels. If people are interested, they can PM me or contact me through Twitter. I'm writing a second Nexus novel, which is going to blow your mind. I think I have some concepts in there that have never been done in science fiction. I'm also working on the 9th biker novel, which is inspired by King Tiger.
King Tiger, refresh my memory. What?
Oh, excuse me. I mean the Tiger King.
Okay.
The Tiger King was a documentary on Netflix
about
this guy in Oklahoma who had a tiger breeding facility, and he made money by charging people to come in and play with the cubs and take pictures with the tigers, and he would also sell tigers to other parties. And he was eventually shut down because there's some question whether the tigers were being mistreated, and he certainly wasn't doing it strictly for the nobility of preserving this great animal. There are only 3,000 Siberian tigers in the wild. There are 10 times as many tigers in captivity as there are in the wild. So in that sense, tiger breeders are doing a service if they're keeping the animal alive.
Yeah.
But if they're keeping the animal caged up or in conditions that are not natural for the tiger, they're not really doing anyone any service, which brings me to the Wild Animal Sanctuary, which exists here in Colorado. The Wild Animal Sanctuary has a huge site, many, many square miles, and they recreate the natural environments. They have tigers, wolves, lions, and bears, and they're all separated into their own enclaves. And they have a walkway that's 50 feet above the ground, which the animals never notice. So you can walk for 1.5 miles over the whole thing and see all these animals in their natural habitat without disturbing them. They've also opened up a new site in south central Colorado that's enormous. I think it's like over 100 square miles, and that doesn't take visitors. It's strictly to preserve the animals.
Yeah, that's we got a couple of reserves around preserves around here too, for wild animals. I of course don't know. We don't need preserve for a lot of them. I'm living on the top of a mountain here, Mike, and I'm seeing new wildlife every day. There was a scorpion in my bathtub last month. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
I rinsed him down the drain. I'm like, you go back to a new habitat. I had to stop in the road for a deer, which is not in and itself unusual. Everybody's seen a deer in the road, but it was a mama, and the baby didn't come up to my knee. I mean, she was just, a couple of weeks to learn how to walk, and they had split. Mom went one way, and the baby's like, "Where do I go?" and went the other. And I'm like, "Okay, everything stops now." And I parked the car so nobody would go by, and I went over to the side of the road, and the baby deer had hunkered down in the grass, and then she slid down the embankment. It was like only a foot, but it was enough to where she got her leg tangled over her head. So now I'm like, I never heard a deer scream before. And this deer was panicked and screaming and hurt. And I'm like, I had to grab her and unhook her hoof from around her head and push her towards her mom.
Did they hook up again?
They did. Mom came back over, ran in front of the car and came back over to her side of the road. So, and then she went into the trees behind me. And they did hook up again. I know the baby deer is fine because I was literally like 100 yards from where I'm living. And then like a week or so later, I saw the baby deer a little bit bigger, crossing over my driveway and eating the weeds that the lawn care people hadn't taken care of yet.
We see deer out here all the time, plus elk, moose, bear occasionally gets into town.
Yeah, I love when a bear gets into town. That used to happen in central Arkansas. It's like, don't go to Walmart today. There's a black bear downtown.
They usually tranquilize it and take it back out into the wilderness.
Oh, yeah. And then yesterday I saw the world's biggest groundhog. I thought it was a beaver at first. Just walking in front of my window, I'm like, what the? The only thing that told me it wasn't a beaver was the fact that the tail was fuzzy and not hammer flat, which has nothing to do with writing comics, but or writing novels for that matter. I'm going to ask you the question that I tried to ask Harlan Ellison, and I asked it wrong, and Harlan was Harlan. He told me it was a stupid question. I was a fledgling interviewer, and he was absolutely right. So this is how I would have said it to him if I could go back in time, and I'm going to say it to you because you're just as prolific as he is. In order to be as prolific and as published as you are, what kind of time management skills would you pass on to the next generation of writers so that they can produce and live?
Well, first of all, writers are people who have to write. So if you're not writing every day, and that doesn't mean literally 7 days a week, but at least 5, you're kidding yourself about whether you're being a writer. I always wanted to be a writer, and ever since college, I would get up in the morning and head for the typewriter and start banging out stuff. But I really didn't have a very good grasp of the novel at that time. It took me 30 years to learn how to write a novel, but that's because I'm a slow learner. But when I get it, I get it. And the trick is, of course, to intrigue the reader. And you do that by by every tool at your disposal, you can have a fascinating character. Sherlock Holmes. You can have a fascinating premise. Jurassic Park. You can have a seductive narrative voice like James Elroy or Michael Chabon or Raymond Chandler, perhaps the most famous example. Everybody who reads Raymond Chandler for the first time is blown away by his breezy style and cynical view. He more or less created the modern noir detective novel.
Yeah.
But I think that when you do it, it's important to keep yourself out of the narrative and to let the story unfold in a natural manner. And that's just a matter of practice and experience. There are a million little rules, all of which are made to be broken. But for one thing, I would never start a story with a quote. I think that's a mistake. I always set the setting first. You can't go wrong if you describe where it's happening. It was a hot night on the Colorado Plateau in late July. The temperature was 103 degrees when three men gathered in a abandoned granary on an unmarked dirt road off State Highway 57.
We're there. Keep going. We'll have a story done by tonight.
Well, I mean, that's just one way to work your way into it. But there are a million ways. You could begin by describing a car. It was a pristine 74 Firebird IROC with the big block engine. It gleamed in the moonlight. And George, it was the car George had always dreamed about. And there it was, waiting for him. All he had to do was take it.
You're making this look easy, Mike.
Yeah, I know. I mean, these are just ways to work your way into the story. But as we discussed before, when you create a compelling character, at some point they turn around and start dictating the story to you.
Yeah, and I've experienced that, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I think anybody who's written anything over time can also relate. What do you do to make that character speak when they have stubbornly shut up and you're on a deadline?
I've never missed a deadline in my life, and it's just that it may be that I work so far ahead, but I think about these characters all the time. And the essential question in fiction is what happens next? And you have to know what happens next. And here's the trick. If you don't know what happens next, don't force it. Back away from the project, do something else. And that's why we all work on multiple projects at the same time. Because if you run into a dead end, you can turn to something else. And finally, if you don't know what to do, you retreat to your bed, you take your notepad, and you write down anything and everything that could happen, no matter how absurd or far-fetched. And sooner or later, the path will reveal itself to you.
Have you ever switched tracks to do another project and you're like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen next on this project, and then realize, no, actually, I'm going to steal it from this project and take it to the one I was stuck on because this would be this happens next over here?
Not really. No, I try to keep each project separate, and I often have a notebook for each project in which I make notes just for that project. But inevitably, I make notes in whatever notebook is handy, and they all get messed up. But I remember what I wrote, and I'll just search through the notebook for what I wrote. I keep the notepad by my bed at night because, we all get ideas and we think, oh, I hope I remember this in the morning. Well, don't hope. You get up, you turn the light on, and you write it down.
Yeah, it happens to me when I'm at work. And so what eventually happens is I come home with a pocket full of these things with something scrawled on each one, and then I've got to figure out what I meant.
Right.
Because I just fold them up and shove them in the pockets. Like, when I get home tonight, I'm going to use that idea. You did such a great job of creating introductions. Troy wants to hear you do the intro to Fear and Loathing.
Oh, man, Troy, it's been so long since I read that. I met Hunter Thompson once in Boston.
Oh, my God.
He was with the sports writer, George Kimball. We were at a radio station. Hunter was so drunk he was bumping into the wall.
I would think that would be a Tuesday for Hunter.
No doubt.
I mean, he's I believe his quote is when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro.
Something like that.
And just to help out, there you go.
Yeah. We were somewhere around Barstow on the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold. I tried watching the movie the other night with Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro, and I thought that Depp's attempt to imitate Hunter, while very accurate, hurt the story because they were so downbeat and softened that the story didn't really pop. And this may not be Johnny Depp's fault. It may be that book is really unfilmable unless you just take off from it as a starting point and write a totally off the wall scenario.
Yeah, there are some books that just can't be filmed. The Crying of Lot 49, I think, would be an unbearable story to sit through. It was an unbearable story to read. Thomas Pynchon just writes with such multiple layers of thickness that there's like I've got to read his paragraphs 5 or 6 times to get the meaning out of the things sometimes. And
say, well, I'm thinking of it. I'm going to be on with Graham Nolan tomorrow night, and Mitch Breitweiser will join me.
Oh, excellent! So that's going to be on Graham's channel.
Yep.
So everybody, if you're not subscribed to Graham Nolan, what the hell is wrong with you? You should be. Because he does a lot of great different shows. He does, his old movies shows, and then he does the comic book shows. So get over to Graham's channel and subscribe if you're not, so you get the alert when Mike and Mitch will be over there talking about Saints, right? The Saints.
That's right. I just subscribed to yours. Oh. Oh, hey, I have a channel too. Let me put that up there.
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about it, but I'm gonna. What is it? YouTube. That's it. Oh, that's the wrong Mike Barron.
You can't. You got to pick your own channel, Mike. There's another Mike Barron out there.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. This is it. Here it is. I have 3 subscribers. Help me out here, folks.
Oh, come on now. We're gonna fix that right now.
Yeah. All right. I just sent you the link.
How often do you get out there, Mike?
Well, I'm going to start doing it weekly. I promise, folks, I'm going to get on that thing and start doing it weekly. I got a lot to say. I like to talk about a lot of things. I like to talk about music, movies, kung fu movies, comic books, fiction, stuff like that. I'm a lover of music, and one of the great things about living where we do is you can go out night after night and hear live music, which we do. And the venues are opening up again, so Ann and I are very happy because we get to go hear these bands. Fort Collins is an unbelievable hotbed of musical activity, more so than Madison, Wisconsin, where I used to live, which is twice its size. There are so many bands out here, so many different styles, that you can go out night after night and not hear the same style twice. Bluegrass is very big, jam bands, but so is our horn rock bands, jazz bands, straight ahead rock, all sorts of stuff. We have a band called Dead Floyd, which combines the music of the Grateful Dead and Pink Floyd.
Oh, that's cool. Now, when you say combines, it's like they do covers of both, or do they like?
They do covers of both. They don't join the songs together, but they'll do a Dead song and then a Floyd song and then a Dead song. And of course, the key to a good musical performance, like to any entertainment, is the dynamics, which is how the things keep changing up to excite your interest.
I thought maybe they would like sing the Grateful Dead in the style of Pink Floyd or vice versa. They're like one of my favorite bands. They're very accomplished musicians, but the first time you listen to them, you're just laughing the whole way through until you start to really enjoy the music. Hayseed Dixie. And have you heard of Hayseed Dixie?
No, I'm not, but I can imagine.
They're a bluegrass band that does AC/DC covers.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's It really is. But the first time you hear it, you're like just laughing your ass off. You're like, yeah, I've never heard these songs done this way before.
Have you
But
heard
then,
of Dred Zeppelin?
no, I haven't. Dred Zeppelin's that
It's Led Zeppelin songs done reggae style.
yeah, exactly that kind of thing. Uh, so so you take the bikes out there and listen to the live music.
Yeah, sometimes, Ann won't ride on a bike, so we take a car usually when she goes.
Jazz Crab says it sounds awesome out where you are. The New York State music scene is decimated. Yeah, because you guys couldn't get out.
No,
You're
maybe
stuck.
someday they'll lift the restrictions and people will be able to leave their homes in New York.
They're going to need Snake Plissken
Yeah.
to escape New York quarantine. Well, hopefully you'll get a chance to come out this way down to Arkansas, Mike. Whenever if Mitch needs you to come down and sign some contracts or something.
I'm dying to do that. I would love to do that. I'll talk to him about it.
Well, you do that and let me know when you're coming through, and we will definitely meet up and get some beers.
I'd love that, man. I'd love that.
There's a bar not far from me here, right here on Table Rock Lake, called the Sidebar. They got a little food wagon out to the side that makes up pizzas, and then everybody just orders pizza and whatever else they make there, and chicken wings, and order some beers and sit on the deck. And just Table Rock Lake is right out there in front of you. It's all outdoor, and it's a big. Well, there's a lot of biker bars around here. There's the TNA Saloon, which isn't really what it sounds like because we don't have any of those kind of bars around here. I looked. I'm kidding, but yeah, the Sidebar. Yeah, we'll all head out there. Yeah, that'll be good. That'd be a good time. I can't wait. I can't wait now, and you're not even coming yet. So
we'll figure something out.
We will. Well, Mike, I'm going to let you go here and get back to writing some more books that we're all going to want to get behind and read and enjoy. Is there anything else that we left out? I mean, we've been all over the place because you've got so many projects, and we have dogs. So,
well, I just hook up with a lot of creators I've always wanted to work with, and there are some things in the works I can't discuss because nothing is firm. But Buddy McGill is firm. And it's going to be shipping later this year from Advent Studios. And the Saints are firm. We're very excited about that. The first issue is done already. We're going to, Thin Blue Line is completely penciled. We're just waiting for the inker. But the inker is one of the greatest and most in-demand inkers. You never heard this guy, but Jeff Slemons. Just go to jeffslemons.com and your mind will be blown.
I'm going to Google him so I can put him in the chat link here. Jeff Slemons, huh?
Slemons. I said, when life hands you Slemons.
Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, I found his website. I'm going to link it over here.
Thanks, Crab.
And of course, Google doesn't take me to his home page; it takes me to a sub page. Well, that wasn't very nice.
Just go to jeffslemons.com.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it right here in the chat. Yeah, folks, check this out. This is some fine art indeed. He does fine art and illustration, and he's inking. Has he ever inked a comic book before?
Oh yeah, he's done a lot of work.
He's got a hire me link, so I like. He wants work.
I think I sent you one of his pages. Let me just check here. Going up. Yeah, I sent you one of his pages. If you just scroll up.
I know you sent me the Thin Blue Line stuff.
That's it. That's one of his pages.
Yeah. Bring it back up one more time here and share it over. So this is the one. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. So Thin Blue Line is going to be crowdfunded. The Saints is going to be crowdfunded through Allegiance, and then Buddy McGill is going to be through Diamond and or whoever is distributing comics.
Advent is the publisher.
Advent's the publisher. Head out to your LCS guys and tell them you want them to keep a lookout for you for Advent Publishing, Buddy McGill. if you like Bolt, it sounds like you're going to really like Buddy McGill. You familiar with Bolt, Mike?
I think I've seen some images, but I'm not really familiar.
Yeah, it wasn't one of the higher grossing, I guess, Disney kind of films.
Oh yeah, it's a cartoon, isn't it?
Yeah. And John Travolta is the voice of the dog Bolt, and he's a dog actor in an action film series. So he's always doing he's a super dog. I mean, he's almost like Crypto because he can do the loud bark and everything blows away. The thing is that he's not aware that there's a special effects crew making all this happen for him, and they keep the dog isolated as possible so that he continues to think that world is real, so that he thinks his master is always in trouble. And then when he gets out in the real world, things don't work for him anymore. But it just kind of reminds me of that. And I enjoyed that film, so I expect that I will enjoy Buddy McGill when I get my hands on it. And I will get my hands on it, and everybody in the chat should. So with that, Mike, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. It's been a while since we got to talk. And
thanks, RJ.
Anytime. You got something new that comes up, you need to get the word out. Just let us know. We'll bump somebody and put you in their slot.
Don't need to do that.
Folks in the chat, so much appreciate you guys being here. If you don't mind hitting the share, just so that people can become more aware of what Mike is doing. I never ask you to share it for me and my numbers. I don't count. It's always for the guests. We don't have a show if you don't show up and watch it. And as always, we just hope you had a blast.